Tom Franklin.
One day I got this email from my son, and I knew I had failed him. I had lived my life wrong. I had not voted for the right politicians. I had not been politically active when I should have. I had completely failed him as a father and as a man. The message was simple. The title line said news. And the message itself started out, "Well, Dad, we're going." And that's how I found out that the rumors were true. And the 2nd Battalion of the Rock of the Marne Regiment of the 4th Brigade of the 10th Mountain Division was on its way to Afghanistan. Those of you who have children want to share the best experiences of your life with them and shield them from the worst experiences of your life. And I knew I had failed my son. Now, I had to deal with his mortality a long time ago. When he was 21 years old, he went to Reading University in England for a semester. He came back with this cough. And after speaking with his childhood pediatrician, we took him down to the med center, and 24 hours later, he was under the knife for cancer surgery. Cancer at 21 years of age. That, as a parent, is an obscenity. I lost my sense of humor completely. But he didn't. An ex-girlfriend sent him 2 really nice pens engraved with the words of Nietzsche that said, "Whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger." And Colin thought it would be a gag to send her 2 pens back that said, "Whatever doesn't kill me must have missed me." Well, Dad, we're going to get through this. I spoke to my brother about that, and he said, well, in every dark cloud there's a silver lining. And he said, now the Army won't want him. Because you see, from the time he was really small, Colin wanted to be a soldier. All the stories that my brothers and I told him about the Army life just didn't work. He wanted to be a soldier. And sure enough, as soon as he got clean of cancer, they dropped him from ROTC. And I thought, we'll never have to worry about that again. Then came 9/11. Then came the invasion of Iraq. And they took him. They didn't go back to the standards of 1969. Back then, if you wanted to pass your Army physical, all you had to do was stand up. But they took him. And I found myself going to his infantry graduation at Fort Benning, Georgia. And a young senior sergeant stood up and said to the parents, he said, if your child is here, they heard a call. We don't draft people anymore. The courts can't press people into service anymore. If they're here, they heard a call. And I thought, Sarge, you probably haven't met Colin, but you know him. We're going. He heard the call. And so to Afghanistan. They took them out there and set them on the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Newsweek magazine, the mouthpiece for the Taliban, said 10,000 fighters were coming over the border to invade Afghanistan and take it back. Army intelligence said couldn't be more than 1,500 or 3,000, and there's 800 of you. You can stop them, march till you meet the enemy, and kill them. And they did. With airstrikes, with artillery they carried in on their backs, with long-range sniper fire, mostly short-range firefights, and sometimes hand-to-hand. For 80 straight days they marched toward Pakistan. Every night the Air Force dropped their supplies ahead of them, and every night they fought the starving Taliban soldiers for the drop zones. And after 80 days they returned to the base camp. The captain said, men, mission accomplished, good job. You haven't had any hot food or hot water for 80 days. Go get yourself a shower and then some hot food. Immediately, the company sergeant major stood up and said, well, gentlemen, the captain's got it just backwards. We're going to go get hot food first, then we'll get a hot shower. They went to the mess hall, and it was packed gill to gill. There was not any room for them until the aroma of these unwashed and unshaven soldiers drifted into the room. He said, Dad, we cleared that place in 2 minutes. We gave a whole new definition to Army Strong. When he came home from Afghanistan, watching him walk into that gymnasium was like watching him being born again. And I thought, well, at least it'll be a year before he goes out in the field again, and maybe his hitch will run out. But then somebody invented this horror story called the Troop Surge. And in less than 7 months, he was in Baghdad, in a place called Nissan, where Saddam Hussein never sent his thugs. The Mahdi army had declared war on the U.S. Army, so they decided the best thing to do was send his battalion in to take the headquarters away from him. So they did. He said, he sent me back an email trying to lift my spirits and said, Dad, it was a lot more convenient than it was in your uncle's time and your time. We didn't have to go looking for them for trouble. We wanted a firefight, we just opened the front door. And for 60 days, they fought the Mahdi army for control of Baghdad. At the end of 60 days, they broke the back of the resistance, and the citizens of Baghdad came forward and took control of their own destiny, manifested in the election they recently had. And he came back from Iraq. You worry about the wounds you don't see, the things he was forced to do, the things he was forced to see. And so we watched him carefully as he came back from Iraq. And then a neighbor told us a story. They said Colin was home on leave and he was driving through the neighborhood and he ran over one of the many wild rabbits that just our neighborhood was filthy with, and killed him. And he walked 6 blocks back from the house with a shovel, carried the dead rabbit into the woods and buried him. Mr. Bunny is not going to lay in the street. Well, Dad, we're going for the shovel. His sister is the same kind of person. I got this call from her at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that kind of worries me because she was a little bit of a wild child like I was. She's working as a paralegal for a major law firm. I said, what are you doing at 2 o'clock in the morning? She said, Dad, I got to drive a motion from this small town in Texas up to Austin. It's got to be before the state Supreme Court at the crack of dawn. Why did it have to be you? It needed to be done. Well, Dad, we're going. When they were children, I read them Dr. Seuss, and occasionally from the Bible. There was this story about Isaiah, who suddenly found himself in the throne room of God. And God looked at him and said, who shall I send? And who will go for me? And Isaiah, in a small, still voice, said, here am I, Lord, send me. I tried to give that to my children, and they turned it into a wonderful gift that they gave me. That spirit, we're going. In the face of things we can't control. In the face of awful things, we're going. They gave that as a gift to me. And today, I'm going to try to pass it on to you. Mr. Toastmaster.